I am 80 years old now. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I notice is the silence. Not the silence of loneliness exactly, not always. It is the silence that comes after a full life, a life of work, a life of responsibility, a life of achievement. My hands are older now. My steps are slower. My voice is softer. And when I look in the mirror, I see a face that has carried many years, many decisions, and many regrets. If you asked me whether I had a successful life, I would answer yes without hesitation. I was a doctor, not just an ordinary doctor. I became a man of position. I earned a high salary. I gained respect in my profession. I became known for my work. I led teams. I guided younger doctors. I published research. I received awards. I built a career that many people would admire. From the outside, my life looked excellent. People often looked at me and said, "You are so lucky." And in some ways I was. I was lucky to have talent. I was lucky to have opportunities. I was lucky to work in a field that mattered. I was lucky to help many people. But luck is not the same as happiness. That is something I did not understand until much later. For most of my life, I believed that happiness would come after success. I thought if I worked hard enough, if I became respected enough, if I earned enough money, if I reached enough goals, then I would finally feel at peace. So I kept moving, always forward, always upward, always chasing the next thing. When I was young, I wanted to prove myself. I came from a simple family. Nothing was handed to me. If I wanted something, I had to fight for it. So I learned to study hard. I learned to endure pressure. I learned to sacrifice sleep, comfort, and rest. At first, I was proud of that. I told myself that hard work was the price of greatness. I told myself that discipline would bring me freedom later. I told myself that all the things I gave up would be worth it in the end. And for a while, it felt true. I became a doctor, then a senior doctor, then a respected leader, then a professor. Each achievement gave me a short moment of satisfaction, but only a short moment, because almost immediately, another goal appeared in front of me. A better title, a bigger responsibility, a more important position, a more impressive paper, a more difficult challenge. There was always something else to reach for. And because I was good at chasing goals, I kept chasing them. I told myself that I was building a better future for my family. I told myself that I was setting an example for my children. I told myself that my sacrifices had meaning. Maybe they did. But I also learned that sacrifice has a cost. And sometimes that cost is higher than we realize while we are still young enough to ignore it. I was always busy. That sentence sounds ordinary, but it shaped my whole life. I was busy when my children wanted my attention. I was busy when my wife wanted to talk. I was busy when my parents needed me. I was busy during dinners, birthdays, school events, and quiet evenings at home. I did not mean to be absent. That is important. I was not a cruel man. I was not a careless man. I loved my family deeply. But love is not only a feeling. Love is time. Love is attention. Love is being present when it matters. And I was often present only in body, not in heart. When I sat at home, my mind was still at work. When I ate dinner, I was thinking about tomorrow's meeting. When I spoke to my family, I was often distracted by unfinished tasks. When I promised to rest, I found one more reason not to. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought being responsible meant always working harder. I thought being a good father and husband meant providing for my family. And yes, that mattered. But providing is not the same as living with them. Giving money is not the same as giving time. Respect is not the same as closeness. And slowly, without noticing, I created a life in which I was admired by many people, but deeply known by very few. I kept telling myself one simple lie. Later. Later, I will spend more time with my family. Later, I will rest. Later, I will travel. Later, I will enjoy life. Later, I will slow down. Later, I will be present. Later seemed harmless. It sounded reasonable. It made me feel patient and responsible. It made me feel like I was planning wisely. But later is dangerous because later always moves. When I was 30, later was after promotion. When I was 40, later was after stability. When I was 50, later was after recognition. When I was 60, later was after retirement. And every time I reached one stage, I gave myself another excuse to keep postponing the life I actually wanted. I thought I had time. I thought my body would stay strong forever. I thought my mind would stay sharp forever. I thought my family would always be waiting in the same place. I thought the future would be generous enough to give me another chance. But time is not generous. Time is honest. It moves whether we are ready or not. Children grow, parents age, health changes, relationships change, and the opportunities we keep postponing do not always return. One day, you simply wake up and realize that the life you meant to live is already behind you. I did not lose everything. That is also important. I had a successful career. I helped patients. I earned a good life. I made a real contribution. But I lost something that no salary can replace. I lost many ordinary moments. I lost dinners that should have been simple and warm. I lost conversations that could have made us closer. I lost birthdays, school events, family trips, and quiet evenings that could have become beautiful memories. I lost the chance to be fully present when my children were young. I lost the chance to enjoy their laughter without checking the time. I lost the chance to sit with my wife and simply be with her, instead of always thinking about the next task. I lost years to the illusion that the next achievement would finally make me feel complete. And the saddest part is this: I did not even notice I was losing them while it was happening. That is how life often works. Loss is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is silent. Sometimes it arrives in small pieces, one busy day at a time, until one day you look back and wonder where all the years went. When you are young, success feels urgent. You want to move faster. You want to reach higher. You want to prove yourself. You want to be someone important. That drive can build a strong life. But old age has a way of stripping away illusion. At 80, I no longer care much about titles. I no longer care who has the bigger office. I no longer care about being the first name in a long list. I no longer care about impressing strangers. I no longer care about the kind of success that looks good in public but feels empty in private. What matters to me now is much simpler. A warm conversation, a calm afternoon, a family gathering, a memory that still feels alive, a quiet moment of peace. When you are older, you begin to understand that life was never meant to be only a race. It was meant to be lived, not rushed, not postponed, not endlessly prepared for, lived. If I am honest, my greatest regret is not failure. It is imbalance. I did many things well. I worked hard. I stayed disciplined. I achieved more than I once thought possible. But I did not live with enough balance. I gave too much of myself to the future and too little to the present. I cared too much about achievement and not enough about enjoyment. I treated rest like a reward instead of a necessity. I treated family time like something flexible instead of something sacred. And now I can say this with complete honesty. Success feels smaller when you are old and tired. What feels larger is regret. Not because life was bad, not because I had no joy, but because I missed too many moments I can never recover. No amount of money can buy back a childhood. No award can replace a missed birthday. No promotion can recreate a family dinner you were too busy to attend. No achievement can return the years you could have spent truly knowing the people you loved. If I could go back and stand before my younger self, I would not tell him to stop dreaming. I would not tell him to become lazy. I would not tell him to avoid success. I would tell him something more important. I would say, work hard, but do not let work consume your whole identity. Be ambitious, but do not become a slave to ambition. Build your career, but do not neglect your home. Earn money, but do not worship it. Seek respect, but do not depend on it for your worth. Take your responsibilities seriously, but do not forget that joy is also a responsibility. I would tell him, eat dinner with your family, listen longer, laugh more often. Take the trip, say yes to the small moments. Leave room in your life for silence, for rest, for love. I would tell him, the people who love you do not need a perfect version of you. They need your presence. They need your heart. They need your time. And time, once lost, is the hardest thing to recover. Now, I understand that life is not only about reaching the top, it is also about who you become while climbing. Did you stay kind? Did you stay close to the people who mattered? Did you allow yourself to rest? Did you enjoy the journey? Did you notice the beauty around you? Did you live with gratitude? Did you love deeply enough? These are the questions that matter now. Not how many titles I earned, not how many papers I published, not how many people knew my name. Those things mattered once, but they are not the final measure of a life. A good life is not only one that is productive, it is one that is meaningful. It is one that is warm. It is one that leaves behind love, not just achievements. If you are listening to me now, I hope you remember this. Do not wait until old age to understand what really matters. Do not spend your whole life chasing a future that never arrives. Do not tell yourself that you will begin living after the next success. Do not believe that your family will always have time later. Do not treat joy like a luxury. Do not treat rest like weakness. Do not treat love like something that can wait. Work hard. Be responsible. Dream big. But also, stop sometimes. Breathe. Sit with the people you love. Notice the small moments. Enjoy your life while you are inside it. Because one day you may sit where I sit now. And when that day comes, you will not remember every meeting, every title, or every goal. You will remember the people, the meals, the conversations, the laughter, the quiet moments that made life feel real, and you will either feel grateful for them or regret that you let them slip away. I am 80 years old now. I have lived a life many people would call successful. And maybe they are right. But if I am honest, I would trade part of that success for more balance, more presence, and more peace. I would trade some of my achievements for more evenings at home. I would trade some of my pride for more laughter. I would trade some of my ambition for more memory making. Because in the end, that is what matters most. Not how high you climbed, but whether you enjoyed the view. Not how much you earned, but how deeply you lived. Not how many people admired you, but how many people felt loved by you. That is what I wish I had understood sooner. That is the truth I carry now. And that is the story I leave behind.